This is a display in the Iowa State House erected by the Satanic Temple. It was recently beheaded by somebody. Let's talk about what happened exactly.
A Satanic Temple has set up a display inside the Iowa State House. It's the holiday season, and even secular government buildings display decorations for holidays that are rooted in religion.
Listen to the music in the background. It's like some scary, like the Twilight Zone type of thing, right? Or the X-Files or something.
That are rooted in religion, like Christmas trees and menorahs. For 14 days, the Satanic Temple has erected a display alongside these major religious symbols inside the rotunda of the Iowa State Capitol. Lucian Greaves, co-founder of the Satanic Temple, spoke to KCCI.
We're going to really relish the opportunity to be represented in a public forum.
Dude, first of all, I love what he's got going on in the background there. I'm a huge fan. I don't know what all of that stuff is, other than what appears to be an orange soda. Big fan of the orange soda, by the way. But I love the whole aesthetic. Aside from that, he is really, really famous within atheist circles. He's an atheist. These people don't believe in a theistic Satan. They think Satan as a rebellious figure against religion, is as a literary figure against tyranny, is something to be respected and revered, basically. So anyways, yeah, he's the one that erected this display, and it's totally 100% fair, right? Iowa opens their Capitol building to any religious display, and if they don't open it to any religious display, then they can't legally have any religious display. That's just how the system works. Everybody's allowed to do it, or no one's allowed to do it. So what they do, they put this Baphomet statue in. Interestingly enough, they tried to get a real literal goat's skull in its place, but they wouldn't let them, so they had to put up this kind of, I don't know what, metal mirror-y type of display. Pretty interesting in its own right, isn't it?
Really relish the opportunity to be represented in a public forum.
Dude, I am loving the aesthetic behind him.
Don't have a church on every street corner.
Though the temple went through the correct administrative channels to present in the rotunda, the display is getting pushback.
One, I hope people realize spiritual warfare is real.
No, it's not, Shelley. Spiritual warfare? Concerned about Satanic Temple display. That's her title. You know, they have like Owen Morgan, YouTuber, or they have like, I don't know, Michael Moore, filmmaker. This one, Shelley Flockhart, concerned about Satanic Temple display. Awesome.
Quick interjection, this won't take long. I just want to say, if you want to support my channel, the best way you can do it is by watching this video to the end, or at least watching a little bit longer than you would have otherwise. YouTube's recommendation algorithm works off of watch time. You can also subscribe to the channel, like the video, and check out my Patreon. Link is in the description for that. Alright, back to the video.
One, I hope people realize spiritual warfare is real.
It's not. It's really not. Spiritual warfare is not real. You know what the Satanic Temple is doing? They're proving a point. You can't insert your religious BS into everybody else's life without expecting it to be inserted right back into your life. If you don't like it that the Satanic Temple is in the Capitol building, get your shit out, and they will too. Simple as that. This is just showing these extremist nutcases what it feels like to be on the other end. That's it. That's all it's doing. Okay, go on, Shelley Flockhart, concerned about Satanic Temple display.
And I hope people realize spiritual warfare is real, that there are evil, satanic forces that are trying to infiltrate our state.
If there isn't a better example of somebody whose name should have been but somehow was not Karen, I don't know what the example is.
Iowa resident Shelley Flockhart said she was shocked to see the altar at the Capitol.
Shocked? Why were you shocked? Isn't anybody allowed to put up a religious display here? What's shocking about this?
to see the altar at the Capitol, so she organized a group to pray near the rotunda's Christmas tree.
Okay.
Greaves says no one is being forced to interact with the Satanic Temple's display.
My feeling is that if people don't like our displays in public forums, they don't have to engage with them. They don't have to view them.
There you go. I love it. He's using the exact argument that the other side of the aisle uses against us, against non-theistic people. I mean, I'm not a member of the Satanic Temple or anything like that, or the Church of Satan, whatever. I just appreciate that he's throwing this argument right back in her face. Shelley over here would say, if you don't like our religious display, you don't have to engage with it. Okay, great. You don't have to engage with this Satanic Temple display either. It doesn't really solve the problem now, does it? You know what I want, and I think this is what Lucian Greaves wants also? I'm connected to Lucian Greaves. I don't know him personally, but I know people who are close friends with him. I would be willing to bet what Lucian Greaves really wants is to not have his display there, and also not have her display there. Remove religious garbage from the floor of the Capitol building. That's what everybody wants. Except for her, apparently.
Evil force.
Let's step back. Listen to this whole bit again here.
Very dark, evil force.
No, it's just a set of mirrors with a little red thing on it.
And I truly hope people know how to battle that.
The U.S. Department of Justice says religious liberty is enshrined in the text of our Constitution.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry. You needed who to tell you that?
U.S. Department of Justice said...
The Department of Justice? You needed the DOJ to tell you what the first sentence of the First Amendment of the Constitution says? Really? You didn't know that it said religious liberty is enshrined in our Constitution? Is this the first time you've heard this?
Religious liberty is enshrined in the text of our Constitution. It's in the First Amendment, where the writers of the Constitution protected the practice of all faiths.
It's not the First Amendment. It's the first sentence of the First Amendment. Seriously, how do you get more on the nose than this? These people are so full of shit. They don't want religious liberty. They don't want religious freedom. I'm talking people like Karen over there. They want religious supremacy. There's a difference.
Protected the practice of all faiths by stating, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. The Satanic Temple is a federally recognized religion that does not actually believe in the existence of Satan or the supernatural, unlike another religious organization, the Church of Satan.
Church of Satan doesn't believe in a theistic Satan either. There are theistic Satanist groups out there, though, like the Joy of Satan. JOS is what it's called. It's kind of a Nazi cult, an extremist group that's really, really crazy and disturbing for all kinds of different reasons. Here, joyofsatan.org. This is their website. And, yeah, not great. Don't like them. They're terrible. They're psychotic. And, yeah, I don't know what else to say about them. They're just terrible. Okay, here, I just clicked on a random link. Israel is going to get what she deserves. Satan. That's, I guess reverse Torah rituals list. That's just weird and disturbing. I'm sorry, man. Anyway, they're theistic Satanists. They literally believe in Satan as a real literal thing. But Church of Satan and the Satanic Temple, they do not. So, yeah.
The Church of Satan. The Massachusetts-based tax-exempt temple says its mission is to encourage benevolence and empathy, reject tyrannical authority, advocate practical common sense, oppose injustice, and undertake noble pursuits. For Inside Edition Digital, I'm TC Newman.
The gall, huh? How disturbing is that for somebody to have their own mind, to be free to think and say and do what they want, to follow the Constitution, not just the Constitution, to follow the first sentence of the First Amendment of the Constitution? The gall! Okay, so let me read this article here. The title, it's on CBS News. It says, former Mississippi House candidate charged after Satanic Temple display is destroyed at Iowa Capitol. A former Mississippi House candidate beheaded the statue. He defaced the statue. Property damage. It's a class 4 misdemeanor, I think. I think he's looking at up to a year in jail. He's not going to serve anywhere near that. In fact, he's probably not going to get any time. He's probably going to have to pay restitution in the form of paying for what he destroyed. Might have to pay a fine of a couple thousand. He's probably looking at about $4,000 or $5,000 he's going to have to pay. And he may be looking at 2 months on probation. Maybe, at worst. That's my guess. A satanic temple display inside the Iowa Capitol in Des Moines was destroyed, and a former U.S. Navy fighter pilot who was recently defeated in a state house election in Mississippi is accused of causing the damage. No, he's not accused of it. He admitted to it. And who else but Turning Points USA, Charlie Kirk, said they're pledging $10,000 toward his legal defense. Of course. Domestic terrorism. And they're supporting it. They are paying for his legal fees if he commits domestic terrorism. You know what would have been fascinating? Probably a bad idea. I shouldn't have done it. It's not good. I wouldn't do it anyways. But if I had destroyed the statue or whatever, get all of these right-wingers riled up and rallied around me and excited and, oh, this guy doesn't like the left and blah, blah, blah. When I have an opportunity to give a press conference and they're paying for all this stuff for me, then I come out and reveal everything for what it is. It's a bad idea, but it's interesting. The display is permitted by rules that govern religious installations inside the Capitol, but has drawn criticism from many conservatives, including presidential candidate Ron DeSantis. Yeah, Ron DeSantis, his criticism was Donald Trump allowed it to become a religion. That's not what our forefathers had in mind when they said religion. Actually, it is. It is exactly what people had in mind. The ability to worship the way you see fit. Period. And also, I don't even think that it was Trump that added them. I think they've had, religion status for years and years. But okay, Ron DeSantis gonna lie. Big surprise, right? A Facebook posting by the Satanic Temple on Thursday said the display, known as a Baphomet statue, was destroyed beyond repair, though part of it remains. Michael Cassidy, 35, of Lauderdale, Mississippi, was charged with fourth-degree criminal mischief, the Iowa Department of Public Safety said Friday. He was released after his arrest. Anybody else probably would have been released after their arrest, too, in all fairness. So, it's a low charge. I don't think it's going to come to much. Cassidy is a Republican, big surprise, right? Who was defeated by Democrat Keith Jackson in Mississippi State House District 45 in November. Cassidy's campaign website remains active. The biography on it says he served as a Navy fighter pilot and a pilot instructor. He describes himself as a Christian conservative who loves our nation and is committed to preserving the blessings of liberty bestowed upon us by the founding generation. Really? So that means you are, what is it? What did he say exactly? He's committed to preserving the blessing of liberty, of people's ability to choose to do what they want to do without fear of reprisal or repercussions, is what you're telling me? You think that it's right for people to be allowed to, I don't know, say erect a Baphomet statue where everybody else is erecting statues of their own? You think that's okay? None of this is true. It's just pure, unadulterated hypocrisy all the way down. In 2022, Cassidy ran against incumbent U.S. Representative Michael Guest, what a name, and lost in a primary runoff after fewer than 300 votes separated them in the primary. Wow, that's close. That's like Lauren Boebert and Adam Frisch. That's his name, right? Adam Frisch. That's like their territory. I think they were separated by like 500 votes. Guest won the runoff with nearly 70% of the vote. Messages left Friday with Cassidy and with the Satanic Temple were not immediately returned. On Friday, part of the display remained at the site in the Capitol. A lone man who declined to give his name sat in front of the display and recited Christian prayers. Oh my God, dude. making references to Jesus. It wasn't immediately clear if he was a supporter or a detractor of the Satanic Temple. Really? It wasn't immediately clear if he's a supporter or a detractor? He's standing in front of it saying prayers, reciting prayers. The Satanic Temple is non-theistic. Which do you think he was? Just take a wild guess. Just throw a word in the air and tell me which you think he was. Christian or Satanic Temple. I'm sorry, man. These people are just, I'm not that guy. I'm not the guy that's always bagging on people, okay? I'm just saying they're not the sharpest crayon in the box. The display is on the east side of the Capitol beside a column and an ornate staircase. It's about 100 feet away from a Christmas tree displayed in the Capitol Rotunda. Founded in 2013. Oh, by the way, quick side note here. Did you guys know that the Christmas tree is actually fully Christian, not pagan? It is a Christian tradition to take evergreen trees from outside and put them inside and decorate them for Christmas. It is a Christian thing to do. People talk about Christmas being December 25th because of the Saturnalia celebration. It's probably not what it was. Saturnalia was largely celebrated by the rich who had slaves. And on Saturnalia, a lot of the time, slaves and masters would trade places. The masters would serve the slaves, and the slaves would eat a feast, and so on and so forth. But the impoverished, the middle to lower class, the 90% of people who were illiterate in the area, they didn't even own slaves. They didn't have any of that stuff. The prevailing theory, I believe, for why Christmas is December 25th is because of what's called calendar theory, I believe. Back in the day, the belief is that Jesus was conceived on the same day that he died, which, of course, there's no evidence for, no reason to believe, but whatever, they believed weird stuff back then. If he was conceived on Nisan 14 when he died, then that means 9 months later, that would put us at December 25th. Or, depending on which calendar you're using, January 6th, which is why Russia and other Orthodox countries celebrate Christmas on January 6th instead of December 25th. Calendar theory, 9 months later. So anyways, the Christmas tree was originally created in the 1400s as a tradition. It's suspected, from my understanding, that the tradition arose with Christmas trees where people were, being illiterate as they are, going to plays and listening to stories about Adam and Eve. Nobody really understood how to read, so all they could do to take in this information was watch plays. And to represent the tree of good and evil, the tree of life, and all that stuff, they would put trees, like actual evergreen trees, on stage. And eventually people started putting those evergreen trees in their homes, too. The Christmas tree is not pagan in origin. It is fully Christian in origin, to my knowledge. And also, Christmas is not based on Saturnalia. 2 cans short of a 6-pack. That works. That's a good one, too. Thank you for that one. The display is on the east side of the Capitol beside a column and an ornate staircase. It's about 100 feet from a Christmas tree displayed in the Capitol Rotunda. Founded in 2013, the Salem, Massachusetts-based Satanic Temple doesn't believe in Satan, but describes itself as a non-theistic religious organization that advocates for secularism. It is separate from the Church of Satan, which was founded in the 1960s by Anton LaVey. Yeah. By the way, there have only been a total of 2 high priests in the Church of Satan. That was Anton LaVey, and then the next guy in line, which I forget. Peter H. Gilmore is the current high priest, and I think before that was Anton LaVey. And it's called LaVeyan Satanism. That's the name of it. So anyways, yeah. When you hear people talking about how they were like a high priest in the Church of Satan or whatever nonsense, it's BS. They were not a high priest in anything. The display caught Cassidy's attention earlier this week. On Tuesday, he reposted a message on X, Cassidy, of course, being the one that beheaded it, reposted a message on Twitter that included 2 photos, one of a Thomas Jefferson statue being removed from an unspecified location, and one of the Satanic Temple display, thus, of course, implying Thomas Jefferson was removed to make room for the Satanic Temple display. Come on. We've reached the point where our capitals are removing Jefferson while monuments to Satan are erected, the message read. Look, if you don't want Satan statues there, get all of your stupid religious shit out of there too. A fund was set up to raise money for Cassidy's legal defense following his arrest. After $20,000 was raised, Cassidy wrote on X that the funding was halted. Interesting, okay. But late Friday morning, Cassidy wrote that he'd been notified of more potential legal charges, unfortunately, so I've opened the legal fund back up. More charges? I doubt it. He's completely full of it. Anyway, that's the story. Dude is terrible. It's disgusting. The whole situation's disgusting. And he's looking for an opportunity to get famous and make money. Good job.
Hi, Owen. My name is Dan. I'm calling from Idaho, and I'm watching the Flat Earth debate coverage. I was wondering if you could cover, the one thing I haven't picked up on is I get that they think that Antarctica somehow is an ice wall covering the outer edges of the Earth. What do they say about the Arctic? Is the Earth somehow squished down and the Arctic's like right in the middle? They never seem to address that. I understand why they fixate on the Antarctic, but what do they say about the Arctic? Thank you very much. Keep up the good work. Bye.
Yeah, that's a good question. So I've been talking about the flat Earth a lot lately because there is a religious movement in favor of the flat Earth right now. Seriously, it's not just like science deniers that are going down this road. I mean full-blown religious nutcases believing in the flat Earth for religious reasons. Now, as far as the question goes, what do they believe about the Arctic? They have two ideas, okay? Antarctica, I believe, is the south. That is supposed to be like the ice wall that goes around us, the impenetrable ice wall. Governments secretly keep you off the ice wall. You can't get anywhere near. It's just nonsense. But anyway, that ice wall supposedly surrounds everything and everybody. China and North Korea and Russia and Alaska and America, and they're everything. It's all in here, surrounded by the ice wall on the outside. Now, the North Pole, as you're pointing out, is the Arctic. Not Antarctica, but the Arctic. And the Arctic, the North Pole, they believe is fake. They don't think it's real a lot of the time. It depends. It varies from flat earther to flat earther, but by and large, they say the North Pole is just fake. Sometimes they say, well, yeah, I mean, there's a thing there, but who cares? It doesn't prove or disprove anything at all, you know? They'll just come up with a billion different excuses for it to make their whole story not complete nonsense, not even realizing that it doesn't solve any of the problems proposed. So, yeah, there's your answer.
Hi, this is Calvin again from Tennessee. Anyways, what I was saying, how can I convince everyone around me that it isn't just, culty Christianity that's the problem? Mormonism, Jehovah's Witness, Greg Locke, whatever. It's all of it because, personally, I believe you can believe whatever you want to believe. You can do whatever you want to do. But what a lot of people don't realize and notice is that, especially in the South where I live, this version of Christianity is ingrained into literally everything. And it's not whether or not you can be one way or another, like, I'm a Christian, but I'm not like extremist. It's like if you say that you're a Christian to someone, they will assume that you are like all the way. And a lot of people keep trying to tell me that, oh, well, not all Christians, sounds a lot like not all men, and the word of Jesus is blah, blah, blah. Like, I know, like, I get that. I have a religion minor. I have studied classically the ancient texts, everything, like, for years and years and years now. How can I convince the people around me that, like, I don't need that in my life? And they need to open up their eyes and realize that they are a part of an American traditionalist system that has, done terrible things like white colonialism and has helped get Roe v. Wade overturned. Like, how do I navigate that? Because all of my friends are either like leftists like me, believe and act the same way I do, or they're just like extreme the other way. Anyways, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you.
Okay, a couple of things I wanted to mention there. I appreciate the voicemail. First of all, you said not all Christians. Sounds a lot like not all men. That is true as a matter of fact. It's not all men. And also, it's not all Christians. But the people who understand that it's not all men, or the ones that understand that it's not all Christians, don't feel the incessant need to point out the fact that it's not all men or all Christians. We get that. We understand who you're talking about, I just wanted to make note of that. I do hear not all men and not all Christians a lot, and it's kind of a thought stopper. Like, you're instantly shutting the argument down in its tracks and ignoring everything else until they acknowledge that men aren't all bad or Christians aren't all bad. Yes, we understand that. Thank you, Aside from that, how do you bust through that bubble? It is a complicated question. Religion generally has been destructive as a whole and has done everything that it could to permeate its way into society. But you know who's pushing that stuff on society? People, specific individuals. Every time you see some ridiculous, on the wall at Walmart, you'll see this offer to come to this fellowship church, blah, 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 whatever. Some guy came over and put that up. There's somebody that's pushing others toward this stuff. So it may seem like non-culty Christianity that's permeating its way through everything. In reality, there are cult members within Christianity that are pushing this even moderate toward extreme stuff on people. So the problem is the cult members, in my opinion. Aside from that, there are Christian groups that are not cult members that I still kind of consider to be harmful, and my reason behind that is I believe that it's a bad thing to believe that something is true when it's not true. That's it. That's all there is to it. That's all the mental work you have to put into it. Is believing true things virtuous? And believing as few false things as possible virtuous? The answer, in my opinion, is yes. And for that reason, it's not virtuous to be a Muslim or a Buddhist or a Shinto or a Christian or a whoever. It's preferable to only believe true things. Now, as far as Christianity permeating its way through everyday life goes, that's its own challenge. But I completely agree with you. We have to fight the extremists where we see it, and it is preferable to believe as many true things and as few false things as possible.
Hey, Owen, it's John from Arizona. I just wanted to ask you, well, you probably have it if you have a Game Boy Advance, but have you ever gotten the privilege of playing for the Four Swords part of Link to the Past Four Swords combo on the Game Boy Advance? I gotta say, it brings me right back. I want to go do it with my brother tonight. I want to go play that fucking game. So cool. Anyway, that's it.
Yeah, I appreciate the voicemail. Very interesting question. Here's what's interesting about that. A lot of people probably don't know about this, but the Game Boy Advance, the original Game Boy Advance, like the one without the backlight, the clamshell one, I'm talking just the normal shaped one. It had a little thing on top that you could plug a thing into, and then you could plug it in to use it as a makeshift GameCube controller. Now, if you plug in 2 or more of those Game Boys that have those special plugs, and you have 2 or more copies of Zelda Four Swords Adventure, you plug those into the Game Boy Advance, you can play a special hidden game that was inaccessible outside of just the Link to the Past Game Boy Advance game. You can play this special game on the GameCube through your Game Boy Advances together with friends. Now, I just so happen to have 2 copies of that game for that exact reason. And I do have one link cable for that. I don't have 2 link cables. And I think I only have one Game Boy Advance, sadly. So I can't do it manually myself. But one of these days, maybe I'll be able to. It's an interesting question. Appreciate it. I just love retro game stuff.